Ira, ira, ira. Mama Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an evening that is dedicated to commemorate the 26th Yortzeit of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. On behalf of the Chabad organizations in Ottawa and the nation's capital, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this evening when we will explore and we will look at the life and the teachings of the Rebbe, considered one of the most influential rabbi in modern history. But more specifically, we will look at his teachings, how he inspired people to transform the way that they looked, that they saw themselves and others and the world around them. You see, as people, through a mix of nature, nurture, social conditioning, and free will, we each possess a personalized lens that frames and forms, clouds, or distorts the way we see ourselves and the world around us. And in order for us to live our lives in the most meaningful and effective way possible, we constantly need to assess and to adjust the way we look at the world and the way we look at ourselves. And the Rebbe taught us that life is essentially good, that positive perception is applicable and accessible to all, that it is derived from an objective, rational insight, not subjective, wishful imagination, that positive living is a matter of choice, that it is in our hands. And so this evening, I invite you to join us and listen from some of our Times personalities and speakers this evening who will share their inspiring and life-enriching encounters and stories that they had with the Rebbe, and how he inspired them with his determination to see the good in every person, to see the good in every situation. Hear some of the amazing stories and discover the awesome and transformative power of thinking positively, of positivity.
26 years ago, I was only a young girl of 13 years old. So young, really not even a teenager yet. Yet the impression of growing up in a home where the Rebbe's values and the Rebbe's love made such a tremendous impression upon me that became what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Do what the Rebbe wanted from us. And what the Rebbe wanted was, the Rebbe looked at every single person and every single Jew like a diamond. The Rebbe looked at you and saw your potential. The Rebbe looked at you and saw what you were able to achieve. The Rebbe looked at you and saw you were able to go beyond what you even believe in yourself. And that's what I wanted to share tonight. That in honor of this special day, that we should have tremendous belief in our own potential, tremendous belief in the potential of our children and our families, and we should also look at every single person around us in our communities, whether they're affiliated or not, and see the potential and the diamond and the gem in their heart and in their soul, and see that within them there's a special spark of God that can achieve so much, and share that love and share that belief with them.
Na Fayidne sich jedu auf dem Wort von dem Baal Shem Tov. Kisiya atem Eretz Chefetz, jeder Ried befragt, wird geglichen zu Eretz Chefetz zu Ort.
So I bought a Greyhound bus ticket for $100 and I went off to look for America. I went around the States meeting many, many rabbis of all kinds. And eventually I got to see the Rebbe in a meeting that changed my life. I asked the Rebbe my questions, the questions of a young sophomore student. He got through them quite rapidly. And that was the extraordinary moment when he suddenly did a role reversal. My questions ended and his questions began. How many Jewish students were there at Cambridge? How many came along to the Jewish Society? We estimated in those days that we were losing 90% of our Jewish students. We're just drifting away. And the Rebbe started saying, and what are you doing about it? And I really didn't expect this because I never saw myself as a leader or somebody involved in as it were, reaching out. And I suddenly realized the Rebbe was challenging me to go and lead.
Sie wird angerufen Eretz Chefetz, der Fall, was innewenig Kriegen, Avon im Tevis und Margolies, sie liegt ab Mayim Chayim, sie liegen Kamo Eitzes, was sie seine Gonus bemavi ho Adomo.
The Rebbe taught me something very important, that the most transformative moments in your life happen when somebody else believes in you more than you believe in yourself.
Der Unterschied in uns, da bei ihnen, was sie gefühlen sich Korriv, zu dem Eberflach, bemehle darf man ein bisschen agrobter. Gefühlt mir gleich dem Even Tevo, gefühlt gleich dem Mayim Chayim. Sie da a Sehne, was mir darf groben tiefer und noch tiefer, kdei arobzunehmen mit alle Unionen, Hamalimim und Mastirim.
I was at Torres Chaim, which was on Belmont Avenue in Brooklyn. Shortly before my 10th birthday, my mother and my baby sister and myself went to see the Rebbe. We went to 770, and my mother started to talk to the Rebbe. My son, Shalom, He's been thrown out of the yeshivas, and the rabbi says this, and he's not listening, and the rabbis are complaining he doesn't like the school, he doesn't like the homework, he doesn't like the program, he likes eating stuff in class, and then my mother's crying and crying because she was searching for answers. The Rebbe turns to me, and he smiles, and he goes, "Come here." So I started the conversation. Because I was ready. I said to the Rebbe, "You're the Rebbe?" So the Rebbe looks at me with a big smile. He says to me 3 questions. His first question was, "Are you a good boy?" I said, "No," with conviction. I was ready. I was used to the scene. So then he says, "You like school?" I said, "No." Then he says to me, "Do you listen to your mother?" I go, "No." So with a big smile, he turns to my mother and he goes, Emes, it's good.
Hat aufgegraben die Mayim Chayim, was sie behalten bei jeder Rieden, a viele bei dem Mieden, was ruft sich an der Weiler. Beshem Ache is a sichere Sache, a sechet von Eretz Chefetz, a sichere Sache, a verbunden mit Mekel Mayim Chayim, a Vayelikim Chayim.
Emes, it's good. And that was, wow. I jumped right back into the whole scene.
Man darf sich mehr nicht haben Geduld und nicht jallen in Kirche wie Gier. Auf der Grobensach und aufgraben dem Bejehr, bis wann es zu tun im Stürmen, dem Mayim Chaim Shebetech, aber das ist gewähnt der Weder von den Baal HaYilul.
My father was an Orthodox rabbi. He was a Musmach from Slobodka. And unfortunately, he died when I was 7. My mom, as a single parent, I guess was looking for some sort of help and reassurance. He was very Makarev. I'd walk with my mom sometimes on Eastern Parkway, and if the Rebbe happened to be walking, he would just kind of like touch his hat as if to acknowledge that she was there. And that meant so much. Then when I was in college, my mom had wanted me to come with her, so I'd have the experience. He asked questions about what I was doing at college. I was involved in the Jewish Culture Foundation because NYU was a big university, and I wanted to maintain whatever was important Jewishly. A short time after the meeting, I do remember the excitement of getting this letter at NYU. Blessings and greetings. The life's purpose of every Jew has been clearly defined as far back as the revelation at Mount Sinai. We were then ordained as a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Every one of us, man or woman, must fulfill priestly functions to bring God to the people and to elevate the people to be nearer to God. Our father Abraham has taught us what one individual can achieve. For one was Abraham, yet he inherited all the earth. Our age, which some people prefer to call the atomic age, has further demonstrated that in the minutest quantity of matter, tremendous stores of energy may be found. All that is necessary is to discover them and then harness these stores of energy to constructive purposes. I feel sure that the thoughts expressed in the above lines will find their proper response in your heart and in the hearts of your colleagues and friends. Cordially, Menachem Schneerson. I shared it with the director and the other officers, and we really succeeded in having a lot of Yiddishkeit there.
When I moved to New York and got married, I started a beginner's minyan at our shul here in Manhattan. It was basically an introductory service for Jewish adults that may or may not have had the benefit of a Jewish education. We launched it on Rosh Hashanah, because we thought that was an auspicious time to try and attract people and so forth. And I was leading it with not a great deal of preparation, but nevertheless I did my best to lead it. And it turned out to have been a success. I remember, as I always did every year, going to visit the Rebbe for Lekach between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And always long lines. Lekach time was no exception, and you could see people coming to him and expressing their own needs and their own worries and requests for advice, requests for blessings and so forth. Everybody asking and asking and asking the Rebbe for things. And I thought to myself, this year I'm going to be different. I'm going to give the Rebbe some nachas. I'm going to give him some good news and make him happy and proud and smile and especially make him proud of me.
I'd like to let the Rebbe know, I hope he has some nachas from the following. This Rosh Hashanah, in our shul, I started a minyan for beginners who don't know anything. We had 200 people. 200. Rosh Hashanah, and Yetz Hashem for Yom Kippur we'll have also. And the Shabbos, we started the first regular Shabbos, we had about 50 people.
Last Shabbos.
People without any background to start learning a little bit about Yiddishkeit. And I'd like the Rebbe's bracha that we should continue.
And I expected a big yasher koach from the Rebbe. I expected the Rebbe to give me a high five and to congratulate me and so forth. When I said the words, Jews without any Jewish background, the Rebbe's smile disappeared. And he looked at me with his piercing blue eyes, and I knew that I had said something very, very wrong. And I didn't know what.
He'll explain to all these people they have a real background of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yankee. And so the Rivke Rochel Leah. That's it for you, and that's for the people who have no background.
The Rebbe was saying, this is royalty you're talking about. These aren't Jews without any background. This is royalty. And that was the Rebbe for every Jew. For the Rebbe was royalty.
You know, we were pasha to mention, but everybody counted, and that's the important thing.
He said I was emes. At that point, it pulled me right back into Yiddishkeit.
Last night in London, Jonathan Sacks became the new chief rabbi, a figurehead for the whole of Anglo Jewry, and one of the most influential rabbis in the world.
That's what the Rebbe did. You saw your reflection in his eyes, and you were suddenly much bigger than you thought you were.
Danach, der Taschen allein arbeiten mit sich und dem hat verschafft in der Piuloteva, der meiste Tag muss sein einmal heftig bis es kommen in der Meime du Matzo von einer Weihe Gimlach Leilon Wort, was Wort ist erhechet einmal heftig, bei Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu, Bekorev Mamar.
In the summer of 1976, a group of wounded soldiers from the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, came to Toronto to join the Paralympics and playing basketball. They then went on a side trip to New York, where they gave up a night on Broadway to spend time with the Rebbe. 770, Lubavitch World Headquarters then, was full of wheelchairs, where these wounded soldiers were going to spend time with the Rebbe. When the Rebbe came and greeted them, he thanked them. Later on, some of the soldiers said that while they were in Israel, they got a lot of sympathy for loss of a limb, for some struggle they were dealing with, but they never really got a thank you for the sacrifice. The Rebbe went to every single soldier and said, "Thank you very much," thank them. And some of them were so uplifted by that thank you. The name of the group was called the Wounded of Israel, but the Rebbe took issue with that name. Take a look.
במלחמת ההתשה נפצעתי, והשיקום הממשי שלנו היה דרך הספורט. השתתפנו כשחקני כדורעף בנבחרת הנכים של ארגון נכי צה"ל.
ב-1976 התקיימה האולימפיאדה בטורונטו, בקנדה, והייתי מהמייסדים והמובילים של הארגון הזה לשיקום נכי המלחמה. וחשבתי שלא יכול להיות דבר יותר מובן מאליו מאשר לטוס לניו יורק ולבקר את הרבי. והתקשרתי למזכירו של הרבי ומיד התקבלתי בתשובה חיובית בחמימות וקבענו את המועד.
אני שגדלתי בקיבוץ חילוני, במסגרת חילונית, שכל הקשר שלי לדת היה רחוק מזרח ממערב, שיוסי לוקמר אמר שצריכים להיפגש עם הרבי מלובביץ', אמרתי בסדר, אוקיי, ניפגש איתו, זה לא... שמעתי עליו.
הם שכנו בבית מלון במנהטן, אז כמובן שאלו שדוברי עברית נשלחו להביא אותם. כמובן הביאו אותם באוטובוסים מיוחדים, אוטובוסים בלי מושבים, כדי שיוכלו לקשור כל אחד עם העגלה שלו. לכן בסמסמנטי הוציאו את כל השולחנות מול הבמה של הרבי, שהרבי יושב, אז בעצם הושיבו שורות של חיילים הפצועים על כיסא גלגלים.
וכבר כשהתקרבנו, כשירדנו מהאוטובוס, חשנו בעמולה, בהתרגשות הגדולה מסביב. הגענו לאולם גדול, בית הכנסת הגדול, ומסביב היו אלפי בני ישיבה חרדים בהתרגשות גדולה.
מוכרח לומר, אני אישית בהתרגשות רבה. וזו הייתה איזו רוח מיוחדת, רוח של קדושה. ויצא הרבי ועלה לבמה ודיבר אלינו.
אני אדם בעבור אשכנזית, שהורגלתי בתקוותי שכולם יבינו את זה.
היה איתנו מתורגמן שעמד לתרגם מיידיש, ולהפתעתנו הרבי דיבר איתנו בעברית, מה שנקרא עברית של ביאליק, במילאל. וראית שעומד מולך איש מאוד מיוחד, מאוד אחר, והמסר שלו היה, אתם חזקים, אתם גיבורים, אתם לא נכים.
אין די כי נכה מהשם שנסים למישהו שהוא נכה, שזהו מראה על משהו נחיסוס וירידו, כי אם אדרבה צריך להדגיש בזה שהוא משהו מיוחד ומצוין על ידי ברי האדם שנוסן לכיחס מיוחדים יסרים על מה שישנם לאדם מן השורה, ולכן דווקא ביכולתי להסגבר על קושיים ומניעס שאין ביכולת להסגבר עליהם לאדם מן השורה. ולכן הייתי מציע שישנו השם ויקורו מצוינים בישראל.
ישבנו קסומים שמה, האזנו לדרשה שלו, ואני כאדם שעסקתי כל חיי בתחום הזה, אני יכול לומר שדברי הרבי היו נר לרגליי, ומצאתי אנשים שנפגעו בצורה הכי קשה, עיוורים ומשותקים וכן הלאה, ובמעט שנשאר להם, הם הגיעו להישגים הכי גדולים שאדם יכול לתאר לעצמו, שזה דבר שאדם שלא מכיר את התחום הזה וכן הלאה, לא יכול להאמין. וזה הרבי תפס מיד כשהוא ראה אותנו וכשהוא קיבל אותנו.
ובעזרת ההתייחסות של הרבי שקרא לנו מצויני צה"ל, בעקבות זה, עם השנים אני הייתי שותף להקמה של ארגון שנקרא אתגרים. ארגון שמנסה באמצעות ספורט אתגרי, לקחת ילדים עיוורים וקטועים ומשותקים וגרועי נפש מנטלית. היום אני מביא אותם למאות, לאלפי, אפילו לעשרות אלפי החולים שלי, ובצורה זו אני מצליח לרפא אותם.
המאור פנים של הרבי היה מאור פנים, תמיד היה מאור פנים של הרבי, האירו באור יקרות, אבל בפעם הזאת היה משהו מיוחד ויוצא דופן, שראו איך שהרבי מגלה אהבה מיוחדת.
בברכו בתדו רבו על הכובד הגודל שנסקבדתי על ידי הביקור שלכם, והיא רוצן שרבי פעמים תצליחו להוביל שמחו ואב ויהדות בכל מקום שתבקרו, הם בחוץ לארץ ולאחרי זה גם כן בארץ הקודש.
וכשהוא סיים את הדרשה, הרבי ירד אלינו. דבר שאמרו לי שזה דבר שהוא לא מקובל. הוא ירד אלינו, לחץ את ידי כולם, ידי כל המשלחת, הוא לחץ את ידי. זה היה מין חיזיון שקשה לתאר אותו. חשנו שהאיש באמת אוהב אותנו. אוהב את הנתן ומעריך את האנשים שתרמו מגופם לשלמותה של מדינת ישראל.
ולכל אחד הרבי אמר מילה אחרת, והיו כאלו שביקשו ברכה, והיו כאלו שדיברו עם הרבי. אז אני זוכר שהיה אחד, מרוב התרגשות, הוא רצה לתת לרבי מתנה. מה? היה לו כבטמבל של פעם, אבל חדש, כן. הוא נתן לרבי את זה מתנה. אתה צריך לראות באיזה חיבה הרבי לקח את זה. אי אפשר לתאר, ואחרי זה כשהרבי חזר למקום שלו, צירף את הכובע הזה לסידור, מחובקים ביחד, ככה יצא מבית מדרש.
Shalom, dear friends. My name is Michael Gerzon. I'm a rabbi at Chabad of Canada here in Ottawa. And I feel very proud and privileged today on Gimel Tammuz to present part of the beautiful video program about Lubavitcher Rebbe. Yes, we're living not in a simple time, and sometimes it's even very challenging, but I think it's very uplifting and inspiring to all of us to recognize that we're living in a special time that the Jewish nation have a leader who is not afraid to appoint other leaders and even encouraging mass producing of that other leaders. Leader who is putting global, you could say universal goals, but at the same time he's caring about individuals. So please enjoy the video, be inspired, and inspire others.
I grew up in the golden age of Lubavitch. So from a very young age, there were so many opportunities to see the Rebbe, to interface with the Rebbe. The Rebbe was there to lift us up, to give us perspective, solace when necessary, encouragement, to share the joys. A world with the Rebbe in it was a world that had an anchor.
I was a reporter at the New York Times from 1975 to 1993. And in those years, I had many opportunities to write about the growth of the Lubavitch movement and to write about Rabbi Schneerson in particular. I think most celebrities are people that you may admire, but you don't get a sense that they care that much about you. And the Rebbe was different. He really cared about every person.
זה הבא שלו, זו פעם הראשונה, זו הצלחה רבה, בשביל הסיור שלו בציורים שלו, המלאכה רבה. לשלוח הרב לכל הציורים החדשים. I have not seen you in a long time, both since I arrived.
It could be a little bit better.
Then it will be a lot better.
Amen.
בנצל לכל האפשריות, להפיץ היהדות האמיתית, ומתייחסים לך בטוב לבו.
כן, אני יודעת.
ירכב גם כן בשורות טובות בענייניך הפרטיים.
אוי, תודה. תודה.
והעבודה שלי היא גם כן הסתרבות בעניינים הפרטיים של כל הפנים אליי.
זה יותר חשוב לי ממה שאמרת עד עכשיו.
He wanted you to be a better person. He wanted you to be a better Jew. He wanted you to practice the rituals and the commandments of Judaism. Those things would make you a better person and make the world better.
I am a writer, primarily on Jewish themes, and I've recently completed a 5-year project on the Rebbe. The Rebbe had a greater capacity than anyone I've ever come across to appreciate that a human being is created in the divine image. He saw that spark of divinity in every Jew, that every Jew therefore was connected, even if that person felt distant now.
You are not changing anything, you are only returning to your real essence and doing so on your own volition, and then it will come to you automatically to progress in all things of Yiddishkeit.
The Rebbe was still seeing that divine spark within them. He saw not only who they were now, he saw also what they could become and how precious they were.
Ich habe gekommen zu finden, ein bisschen Jüdischkeit, ein bisschen mein Jüdischkeit.
Ich wollte
Und will helfen.
Ich war so, was ich im Herzen tue, von der Sache mehr, ich bin noch da. Ich darf es wissen, von der Herz. Wir werden aktiv und noch viel mit euch Ganzen. Jüdische Herz.
When one walked into the Rebbe's study, you saw nothing but the Rebbe. It was not an ostentatious office. It's not like going into the president or governor's offices or even deans of law schools. The Rebbe's office was not that at all. It was him. He can't enforce anything he wants. All he can do is advise and suggest. And that distinguishes him from every other leader I've met. They have the power of the purse, they have the power of the sword, they have the power of the media, they have the power of law. Rebbe has no power, only the authority that he himself brings through his personality and his leadership.
Yes. What happened to the book?
Well, I'm doing some things in that direction, which I'll inform you as it goes along.
It takes you too long here.
You're right, you're right.
You have much more things to do after you finish that.
Okay.
This was a wonderful year, Baruch Hashem, but this was our greatest accomplishment of 1988. To be elected a senator was nice, but this was the best.
But don't be satisfied. It's only with you.
Okay, we both heard.
That depends more on you, probably.
Hebt sich auch nach rumgucken, wird man erschrocken, was tut sich das in der Welt. Und was mit der und mit Schone, is achsher dore bit mir. Am geht sich a gucken, nieder Chelik Atevis Geber und nieder Seder wird als starker und nicht gedusche Veruchni ist. Is Meschel beschälet nor Lichiere Leheper. A das is a Linie von a Jahr, was dort gewältigen Chayis Reus.
The Rebbe's mission was to call the world's bluff and reach right in and invert its reality and expose the core, expose the goodness. And he did that on every level, to the world entire, to each person he touched.
Man soll wissen sein, dass man gefühlt sich in einer teure Welt. Das ist eine Welt, wo sie ist ein Gang. Und nicht stamm a Sode, eise Tvur, nur das ein Gang von eise Peres. Das ist eine Samen-Welt, wo der Eibester sagt, dass das ein Paradies, wo das ein Paradische Leben.
Just imagine that you are an eagle and you were raised as a duck. So you think that you are a duck and you live like a duck, and sometimes raises you and you find out that's an eagle. Then you spread your wings and go. You soar up to heaven. You're now above all these things. So that is what's called the touch the Rebbe had. And it was a spark, went there and ignited them. And the person is not only didn't return to what he was, it changed completely from one place to another.
Die Chance mit verbindet sich mit der Sache, wo sie gefühlt sich eben, mit der Sache, wo sie le Meile min Azman und min Amoke, ist Afal Pi, was gefühlt sich in Zman und in Moke, gibt ihm der Eberste die Möglichkeit, als ich in See, wird durchführen den Ebersten Schlichus. Die Chance mit verbunden eben, oder dämmelt fällt mir nicht unten. The influence of the Jewish people is a big task. But nevertheless, every Jew has the power to do so because he is going with the help and blessing of God Almighty himself.
Well, I must all do my best.
Yeah, God Almighty will help you.
Lubavitcher Jews around the world today began 7 days of mourning for their beloved leader, Rabbi Schneerson.
Rabbi Schneerson was a great leader of the Lubavitcher people. He was a great religious leader of the Jewish people. He was also a great religious leader of all people all throughout the world.
I was aware that he was not well, but his death, of course, was devastating to everybody in the world. Who could ever succeed this Rebbe? I mean, he was such a giant.
The Rebbe rewrote the book on what it meant to be a Hasidic leader. The Rebbe sort of broke down that wall and said, I have something to give and to contribute and to teach to all Jews. He was one of a kind, so with him gone, how could the movement survive?
The Rebbe's passing was a loss on a personal level, but beyond that, it seemed to be the eclipse of a light the world needed so badly. That was the true loss. But as it turned out, that was never lost. It lives on in the Rebbe's teaching, in the Rebbe's direction, that fuel our work today.
When you are stranded in the wilderness, you really don't know anything. So you have a light, and the light guides you, and then somehow the light is extinguished in the middle of the night in some moment. How do you feel that? And you have, on the other hand, you don't have any permission to stop. See, and the Rebbe gave an order, marching orders, and so you have to go on marching.
For the Rebbe, there was nothing more precious than every single human being, and there was nothing more precious than every single mitzvah. The marching orders were, bring these two preciousnesses together.
Shasayit tut a mitzvah in der Welt, und tut a schliches Abteil der Nebelchen Kwajoch. Wir darf mazmi sagen, die Potter als a Prumerid, ist jede Mitzvah, was tut, auf seiner Matone, was gibt den Nebelchen.
One of the ways in which this book itself profoundly influenced me was the Rebbe's insistence on the importance of every mitzvah, which brings me now, when I do a mitzvah, to have a much greater increased sense of its power to affect me.
Everyone is putting tefillin, you in and you are true to you. Someone else, he must begin putting tefillin. That alone is a very worthwhile endeavor. For adding a Jew to put tefillin. You're welcome.
You know, the greatest immortality somebody can ever have is to leave a legacy and to see one's work continue after one sheds the mortal coil. And the Rebbe did a phenomenal job in preparing his movement, the Jewish world, and the entire world.
To think that he had built this movement from the time he became Rebbe in the 1950 or 1951, and it had this phenomenal growth, that growth would have continued sort of exponentially after his passing is kind of hard to imagine, hard to believe. It just shows that, you know, the power of the message that he had, and that he has been able to, in some ways, transcend life.
The Rebbe saw each person as a stakeholder in this awesome project. We have the responsibility and the privilege of moving it forward. By adding one new mitzvah, everyone can become a stakeholder in the Rebbe's project as it continues to move forward and to grow.
Und als meisef ein Meise, ein Dibur, ein Achlot, lezad Atev, ist Neise, was peilt auf sich, peilt rechet al Bnei Beise, und peilt, wie der Rambam schreibt, als Psag Din, al Kol Ha'elam Kuli Machrie, lekaf Schus, bringt das de Gejule bepeil Mamash mitech Simcha vetuv levo.
Hi, good evening. My name is Devorah Katak, and my husband and I were privileged to come to Ottawa in 1981 with a blessing from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and it's a privilege to be a part of this program this evening, honoring the Rebbe. In the next segment, you will hear Dr. David Luchins share a fascinating story that he heard firsthand from Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. Mrs. Chisholm was the first Black woman elected to Congress in 1968, and she represented the 12th Congressional District for 7 terms until 1983. She was also awarded posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Obama. She had a strong, loyal base in Brooklyn, and she wanted to help people. She really wanted to be assigned to the Housing Committee. She wanted to make a difference in the world. And she faced a double handicap. She was Black and she was female, obviously. And what happened? She was assigned to the Agricultural Committee. Bowing to political pressures, white Southern racists thought they would teach her a lesson. They assumed that she would have very little influence. She was very depressed and upset. She received a phone call from the Lubavitcher Rebbe that he wanted to see her.
Dr. David Luchins is chair of the Political Science Department at Touro College. For 20 years, he served on the staff of U.S. Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan.
My two best stories about the Rebbe in public policy, and I use them in class. I used the first one I used in class in American politics as an example. There was a woman in Brooklyn, college teacher named Shirley Chisholm. She got elected to the United States Congress in the mid-60s. She was a fiery speaker. She was considered a Black power advocate. Whites were scared silly of her. And she was the first Black woman ever elected to the United States Congress, and she was a bomb thrower. So the white Southern racists that ran the U.S. House of Representatives from the South said, we'll teach this blank a lesson. And they assigned her to the Agricultural Committee of the House of Representatives. It was a great gelächter, it was a great joke. I still remember the New York Times front page article said, does a tree grow in Brooklyn, ? And they said, the chairman, they've appointed Shirley Chisholm, not to housing, which she requested, not to a committee on poverty, but the Agriculture Committee. And when she retired from the House, I was there when she told the following story. She said she was very depressed and very upset and didn't know what to do. She got a phone call. The Lubavitcher rabbi wants to see you. And of course, she was the congresswoman from Crown Heights. She had helped win the election, the primary, with the strong support of Lubavitch. She had some very close relationship with people in the Crown Heights community, and she came to see the Rebbe. She told the story. She had seen him once before when he had refused to endorse her. But then he said, everyone voted for me, so I guess he did something. She was very cute about that. She said, but then she came to see him the second time, and he sat down and he said, I know you're very upset. She says, I am upset. I'm insulted. What should I do? And he said, what a blessing God's given you. This country has so much surplus food, and there's so many hungry people, and you can use this gift that God's given you to feed hungry people. Find a creative way to do it. And she says the first day she came to Washington, she met a young congressman who's now a world-famous figure, Robert Dole from Kansas. And they started talking, and he said, our farmers have all this extra food. We don't know what to do with it. She said, 1 second, the rabbi. And what we call WIC and food stamps. Largely expanded. It was a tiny pilot program before. The whole existing food stamps program came out of the Agriculture Committee of the United States Congress, and Shirley Chisholm said in front of everyone there in Washington, she said, I owe this because a rabbi who was an optimist taught me optimism, taught me that what God gives, what you may think is a challenge is a gift from God. She said, if poor children, babies, I heard her say this, she said, poor babies have milk, if poor children have food, it's because this rabbi in Crown Heights had vision.
The Rebbe taught us that every single person has their own unique journey and has their own unique path. But we have to look at a person and see their neshama and help them water it and help them grow and treat every person with love. I would now like to present Mrs. Shachar from Venice, Italy, who will share with us an incredible story.
Venice is a beautiful city. Everyone knows that. It's one of the most famous cities in the world. Even though we have so many people who come through, whether it's for a bite to eat, or just to pray in the minyan, or even to stay for a whole Shabbat, we're very lucky to have so many people, but at the same time, just like we say, each person is an entire world, we try our best to individualize each person's experience and really connect with each person on an individual basis, and also do our best to keep in touch with people afterwards. So one Yom Kippur, it was just before Ne'ilah, the culmination of the entire holiday. I entered the ghetto area and crossed the bridge, where you're greeted by the Rebbe's smile on a big picture on the Chabad house window, where it says, "No one will be left behind." This personifies the Rebbe's teachings and everything that we learned about how the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin treated each and every person they came in contact with. As I hurried along and past the Chabad house, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a little bit of movement on my right side in the Chabad house. So I glanced over, and to my great surprise, I looked in and I see a young woman, maybe in her early 20s, and she was sitting on the computer.
פתחתי את הדלת והרגשתי מאוד בנוח. הדלקתי תור, אמרתי, שלום, היי, everybody, יש פה מישהו, מדליקה מוזיקה, מרגישה בנוח, בודקת מיילים. פתאום ככה הדלת נפתחת, מישהי ככה מדברת איתי באנגלית.
I opened the Chabad house door as if it was a regular day, and I said, "Hi, welcome to Venice." And I introduced myself, and this nice young lady looked up and smiled, and we exchanged the normal pleasantries. I said to her, "Listen, you know what? In a short while, I'm making a big meal for all our guests. Why don't you join us?" So she said, "Sure, why not?" So she got up and she went to go get her huge backpack. It looked like she had been traveling for days. So as we walked out the door, I very casually said, "Oh, you know, I have to go over to the shul really quickly just to pray, and then we're all going to go to the meal together. How's that sound?" And she said, "Yeah, sounds great." And almost as if she was thinking out loud to herself, she said, "Wait, meal, shul. What's going on? Is something special? What's today?" I could still feel it, like it was that moment.
ואני מסתכלת כזה, מה, כאילו, זה יום כיפור היום.
I knew that whatever I was going to say, that when she realized the importance of the day and the situation, that she would very likely be upset. But most importantly, I was afraid that she would be embarrassed.
פתאום ברגע הזה הרגשתי שהחוט היחיד שמחבר אותי פשוט נקטע. הייתי בשלב שבאמת כמעט ולא שמרתי חגים כי לא היה טעם.
in that split moment, I decided as long as she sees that I'm sincere and that my words are really coming from the heart, then it will sort of soften the blow. It won't matter as much as long as she sees that I'm genuinely happy to see her and that she's with us. So when she said, "What day is it? What's going on?" I said, "This is the perfect day for us to meet." That's exactly what it is. We're supposed to meet right now, and it's going to be wonderful. We're going to have an amazing time, and I'm so glad to have met you.
וואו, זה היה כאילו, זה הרגע שהיחידה שלי התעוררה ופשוט בכי שאני לא יכולה להסביר.
And I thought to myself, you know, Ne'ilah, it's when the gate is closing. Well, if I get left outside, at least I'll be with her. I'm not going to leave her here outside. We'll be together.
אני לא זוכרת עוד דברים או עוד משהו בשיח, אני רק זוכרת את הנוכחות של שחר שליוותה אותי.
I held her up and I said, "Listen, this is our time. We were supposed to meet exactly now, exactly here in this place."
במין תוקף של קדושה וישירות והמון אהבה, היא אומרת לי, קסם, תקשיבי, זה הרגע האחרון של תפילת נעילה. אם את מתפללת את התפילה הזאת, זה כאילו התפללת את כל התפילות, כל החיים שלך. זה גרם לי להבין שזה הדבר, כאילו היא פשוט לקחה את כל ההתעוררות האדירה הזאת וכיוונה אותו ישר למטרה.
It was a one-on-one exchange, a special moment in time.
זה חיבור שהוא כל כך מלמעלה, שהשליחה המדויקת, במצב המדויק, עם המילים המדויקות, לכוון למקום הזה, זה פשוט יצר אצלי איזשהו משולש הזה של האהבה שפשוט נבנה והתחבר ומוביל אותי עד היום.
When we come in contact with a friend, a neighbor, an acquaintance, someone at work, there's an opportunity to love your fellow, to show a person that you care, to do something nice for someone. And this is really what the Rebbe is all about. Everything that the Rebbe stands for, everything that the Rebbe teaches, whether it's in a sikha that you read or the many videos that we've seen of the Rebbe receiving people, everyone comments about the Rebbe's beautiful blue eyes and how they felt like they were the only person sitting talking to the Rebbe, that nothing else existed. That could be one of the challenges that we have here, being that we have so many people coming, but you still need to give each and every person that individual experience. We owe it to them.
אני שייכת למשפחה של הרבי, ואני רואה את זה בפועל, שאני מגיעה לכל מיני מקומות ואזורים. כן, אני שליחת חב"ד, ויש את המקום הזה, אתה מרגיש שאתה מגיע ויש לך גב. יש לך גב שעומד מאחוריך, אני לא בן אדם יחיד, אני לא קסם שחיה פה בשכונה הקטנה ועושה, אני מגיעה עם חיבוק ומתוך צבא שלם של כוח ואהבה, שזה מה שמאפשר לי גם להמשיך ולהעביר את המסר הזה.
And to think that out of that unique experience, that opportunity, that now Kesem Bracha and her husband and her children are all shluchim of the Rebbe in the land of Israel is something unbelievable. There's really no words to describe the feeling.
Thank you for joining us. When my family and I were privileged to be sent to Ottawa on Shlichus almost 30 years ago, things were very clear-cut. The Rebbe ruled out 2 other possible destinations and clearly indicated that Ottawa was where we were to go. The Rebbe even added some specific instructions. After Gimel Tammuz, concern was expressed from many quarters regarding what would become of Chabad and the Shluchim, perhaps even the course of North American Jewry. Today, Ottawa has become a living example of what has since taken place throughout the world. The Shluchim who arrived here after Gimel Tammuz bring the same enthusiasm, devotion, and commitment, perhaps even more than those who came earlier. The Rebbe's vision continues to thrive. We are on course. Ottawa Shluchim are here to serve, guide, and inspire you, are here to stay until we can all gather together with Jews from throughout the world in Yerushalayim with Mashiach.